So my name is Jonathan Bedil. I've been dreaming about Wuxia the Fox for 8 years now, and I'm going to tell you the story of my Kickstarter campaign, or the roller coaster that almost destroyed my life, but got the project financed. And this project was so complex there was so many C's in 8 years. I collected so many ideas that at the end, no producer wanted to produce it. They were like, this is too ambitious, too complex, too many elements. So I split the project in 3. 2 of the other projects got financed in the public media, like Canadian FMC financed one part, and the storytelling component I'm going to show you today got financed through Kickstarter. I'm a sense maker, I'm an experienced architect. I'm basically meeting engineers and designers and building a story and a vision and trying to make sure that everyone visualizes the same idea. And I create blueprints and I create images and films to foretell what will be the experience that people will build. I'm working with my company, Saga, and my partner, Vaccine, is not here today. And I'm going to show you some principles that guide my work and that guided the Wuxia adventure. One of the key things in my life was Mark Weiser in 1967 at Spark, Xerox, that he coined the term ubiquitous computing. It was so early, it was almost considered a nerd that would not understand how computing was working at the time. It was like computing is working against human. It needs to get calmer. It needs to use less of our attention. So much like electricity disappeared from our walls in the 18th century, plumbing disappeared from our walls in the 19th, and then the internet disappeared, there's no more wire, such as all the devices now getting connected to the internet. The usage gives meaning is a metaphor I'm using on every my project. Vinyl chloride was acetylene for use in 17th century and 18th century in lamps. And then it created something that would be a cultural revolution, that is the disc, the recording disc. And this is actually an accident that we got this material. And it's the same thing I use for storytelling or, for example, nostalgia. Nostalgia always trumps newness in a sense that stuff that you try to destroy. Like they say, an e-book would not replace a book because they're 2 very distinct experiences. And I was seeing my friend with this new child. I didn't have a child 8 years ago. Now I have 2 kids, one 4-year-old and one 2-year-old. And I was fearing that technology will surpass the human interaction, having all those people with augmented reality elements and stuff. And I was fighting the idea as a poet, but also as a designer, to avoid that moment. And I was not fearing the fact that Oculus or Visara would win the market. I was like almost a not-see market person. So when I built my campaign, I decided to do something completely, almost retarded. Like, I said I would build a book. I will do a book design completely against my 20 years of experience in web and startups, and I will do an experience based on reading. But reading for the 40 years in advance, so like for the kid that will read a book in 40 years. So we'll be able to mix up what did we lost in the process of building ebooks and a lot of attention-driven process. So the product is actually an app that listens to you while you read the book to your kid. And some element in the book looks like a board game. It's a very rigid book sometimes. So you can place tiles, wood tiles with symbols. The book will awake itself 20 minutes a day, not more. After 20 minutes, it will walk down in a very enigmatic way. And it will also wake up in full moons with strange sounds. So it's a kind of book that is a prophecy for the future, for the kids of the future, for the parents right now that will have kids. So it's not really commercially viable. It's very difficult also to sell because it's a concept. So what I had to do is I built a story around this prophecy. I built a film that you can see on Kickstarter. And I proposed my idea of building a new liturgy to make sure that lecture on physical book doesn't disappear. I got friends with mom blogs, I got friends from a lot of educators, but not the geeks. The geeks were asking me, why don't you just do an iPad app? I don't just do a connected object. But the whole goal of the project was to create something about preventing technology enslavement. So I had to fight the idea of just doing something on iPad. I had to simplified the idea of just doing a connected toy, which is great, but it was not the objective, the message, the story. In 40 years, I don't want people to perceive that I failed. So I said, I will resist this idea of doing just a consumerist object and really respect the poetic message that I had. I don't even know if my 5 minutes has passed. So the project got really in my head. I had an illustrator for 8 years that did a lot of it sketching. And I said to myself, why don't I depict more than just the technology? So climate change, cultural disappearance, like language that disappears, climate change, animal that disappears. So as much as we lose our ability to have reading experience that make us immerse in a very distinct story world, I wanted to have other stuff in this app. So this app will collect and teach language that are disappearing, and also show animals that disappear in the next 40 years, and the climate change that will affect them. So the kids will see with this app what happened backwards. It's kind of a time machine. The project that got financed by the FMC is IoT. It's a $500,000 project to create walkable films. Basically, I'm walking here and projector will follow me and adapt the projection to my behaviors. This project was born in Wuxia, but could not be financed or understood at the time. Now it's going to get launched in October with Wuxia as a storyline. So I know it's very fast, and I don't even know the time left. So these, okay, so I'm already way off. So the kickstarting session, I started to put 12 lessons I had. So maybe either we do the QA while people read them. I try to highlight the stuff I did well.
Yeah, that seems to be a lot of stuff. Like people can read that. Does anybody have questions?